Yes. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening to our lovely audience and those who have joined in today's podcast. That's Today is a really beautiful evening with a pleasant weather because most of you are, as already aware, it's raining. So, the weather is quite interesting. I mean, quite nice and very, very wettish kind of weather, but it's still. So today, really, hello everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. So this is your host, Lovely, and we are diving in a very interesting theme today: skill prints, designing the blueprint of your career. Joining us is someone who who has guided countless students and professionals in shaping their futures. So we here is introducing Miss Sheetal Sharma. She's a trainer, counselor, career coach, head of department, career counseling at Sarvottam International School. Welcome, ma'am. On behalf of Connaissance Career and We Avec U Foundation, we really welcome you in this beautiful podcast evening.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you very much for inviting me here, having me here. It's really an honor. Uh, this is a topic which is very close to my heart. So I would love to get insights and share my insights about the same.
Definitely, ma'am. So, ma'am, my first question to you is to begin with, when we say skill prints, what does that mean to you in the context of career development?
Skill prints is like the name itself, the title itself is very interesting. And to me, it's like fingerprints, to each his own. No two people, no two fingerprints are alike. No two people with you will find with the same kind of skill set. No two people will have the same kind of skill set. No two people will go on with leaving an impression on your organization or on you as a person. Everybody will have a different set to talk about, to think about. It's a combination of abilities at the same time, the kind of technical abilities you have. It's a combination of skilling and the kind of technical abilities you have. And this is very different for everyone. It is something that everyone can develop at his own pace, can develop in the direction that he wants to, he needs to. And that is why Skill Prints is a tagline that I thought it is actually something that will design your career and design your career by what we say when we said it's a blueprint for your career. That is where skill print really matters. You're on mute, lovely.
That's such a powerful way to put it, like a unique fingerprints. Our skills really do leave an impression on every opportunity we touch. That's really very beautifully said, ma'am.
Yes, because see, every opportunity either leaves you with a good taste or a bad taste. You meet someone, it will either be a very good experience or it will leave you in a phase that you will not like it much. And that is where I said it leaves an impression, it casts an impression on you.
That's pretty awesome, ma'am. So, ma'am, many students and professionals are often caught in the debate of degree versus skills. In your opinion, which one carries more weight in shaping a career today?
See, lovely, to be honest, I come with a slightly conventional bent of mind. I don't believe in the fact that degrees don't matter. Degree is something like a knock on the door of the opportunity, but skill is something that will take you forward. Degree is something that makes your resume enter the organization, where your resume is shortlisted and it goes up the ladder. Today is the world of AI. Nobody is really humanizing the entire fact that, okay, everybody's reading your resumes and meeting you. There are hundreds and thousands of applications for every job. So to step up that ladder or to just enter the door of that organization, you need that degree and you need that stamp on your resume. And that's how Literally, that's how Google also shortlists your resume. Now, climbing up the ladder would actually be would actually be dependent on the kind of skill set you have. Getting into the corporate world, yes, your degree matters. Will your degree be enough to climb up the ladder? No. So somewhere it has to be a combination of both. Today in the education industry, we talk about T-shaped education. When I say T-shaped education, I'm talking about the degree as the vertical line where you're deep diving technically into the skill, into the subject that you're learning. So like you're a psychologist, right? You've done your master's in psychology. So you've taken a deep dive into psychology, you understand the technical stuff, disorders, disabilities, diagnosis, everything. But if you don't have the skill set, you do not know how to strike a rapport with the counselee. You do not know how to market yourself. You don't know how to actually spread awareness or talk about it, communicate. You will not be able to climb up the ladder. It's as simple as that. To have a very upfront, right in the meeting kind of example. I'm sorry to be taking up your case only. So it was right in front of me. And that's where, the skill set and degree, there's a combination that matters. I am sorry that, but I would disagree for a fact that degrees don't matter. And there are so many people who do not have degrees, who are dropouts of Harvard and the likes. Getting into Harvard itself is a very big achievement. And then a dropout is the skill set that that person has shown. So let's not go into the one in a million cases. Let's go into so many millions who don't get jobs despite degrees. So it has to be a combination. And that's where I come from.
I'm 100% agree. Degrees may open doors, but skill decide whether we can actually walk through and thrive. I think that
Absolutely.
resonate with a lot of our listeners. So, ma'am, before proceeding with next question, I would really like to welcome uh, Manoj Kumar, sir, assistant professor, sir. Welcome in this beautiful evening of podcast session, and our very own professor, Dr. Rishi Mishra, sir, a registered clinical psychologist and the owner of a clinical Connaissance Specialist. Welcome to this podcast session, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Uh, Good evening, and thank you, Sheetal ma'am, for uh, accepting the invitation to join this podcast.
Of course, pleasure
And
is all mine.
Yeah, and it's very important topic which you have just discussed is that the degrees itself they have a limitation. They are only a kind of visa to enter into that job country or into that job world. But rest depends on all the skill set which you are talking about. It's very rightly you have observed the current scenario, and this the most of the graduates, postgraduates, they need to understand the current value. Yeah, please
That
spread
is
more
so
light
true, sir.
on these topics.
This is so true because many a times in the rush of getting to a brand name like maybe IIT or the likes, we forget that the student has to develop a skill set which will actually benefit him by the time he's in the industry. So, what
Right,
we're talking about nowadays is the void between the huge gap between industry and college, the university. There's a huge gap. When I talk to HR specialists, I talk to people in the recruitment team because that's my forte. Uh, I get to know that there are people who have the best of GPAs, the CGPAs, but they will not know how to even introduce themselves when they sit across in an interview. And that
right,
is the void that we need to fill. So I
definitely.
think a lot of people need to understand this. A lot of graduates need to understand that these 4 or 5 years of college are not just about GPAs. It's about a
True,
lot
very
more,
true.
110 things which books don't tell you.
Sure.
It's all about exploring, it's all about networking, it's all about understanding, being street smart, it's all about understanding the game, it's all about making the right decisions when to do what, when to step out, when to move forward, when to take a leap, when to slow down. And this you get only and only when you actually have the right kind of skills,
Definitely
not
agree.
just by deep diving in those huge books and rushing towards a GPA. So
Def
yes, that is what I believe in.
Definitely agreed, ma'am. Definitely agreed. So, ma'am, as you were speaking, talking about the skills, so my next question to you is, what are some future ready skills that will be most in demand in the next 10 years, regardless of industry?
So I think, in fact, so a lot has been talked about in the Forbes magazine or the World Economic Forum when we reach out, and there are a huge, whole lot of infographics all over the internet. If some students want to Google and check them out, but I feel there are certain things that you need to start developing at a very early age. It's not just about while you're graduating. It's not about while you're in high school. This has to come right across childhood and has to be built in character. It cannot be something like, okay, today I'm going to start learning collaboration. It doesn't happen like that. Collaborative work has to be inculcated amongst this generation. Within this generation, they have to be taught how to sit and actually work in a team, because a lot of time in the workplaces, it is seen. I also work in an organization. It is seen that people cannot work in teams at all. It's my way or the highway. So the moment there is teamwork, either I lead or I don't be a part of the team. Now that doesn't happen. So collaboration is one thing. When you talk about the four C's or the six C's, I believe collaboration is one of the most important skill that this generation has to learn. Come what may, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, they'll have to collaborate with people and work. The next one is leadership. Once you know how you work in a team, is when you learn how to lead the team. Leadership doesn't come with workshops and certifications. It doesn't. I've seen the best of leaders sometimes fail at situational leadership. I have seen people fail at leading, motivating teams. I have seen people really fall apart when it comes to difficult employees. So leadership is something that you really, really need to learn, and that will come and build in character only when you take part in a lot of co-curricular activities and council duties and lead teams informally and formally both through entire school and college life. So yes, collaboration, leadership. Another skill that comes right in my mind is the digital literacy. Come what may, you have to get yourself adept to technology. You cannot do this that you step back and say, no, I'm not going to learn this. Take to 2020, for example, the entire world shifted online. And I know it for a fact that a lot of people in the education industry went jobless because they refused to adapt and get to technology. They said, no, PPTs, teaching online is not my thing. So I'm not doing it. And obviously, assuming that this is a very short term phase, it'll go away. It lasted for more than 2 years. To the fact that today we have stuck to the online despite COVID vanishing. We've stuck to that style of online. The world has become closer. People have connected. So digital literacy is something everybody has to learn, despite the fact कि आप social work में हैं, आप psychology में हैं, आप content writing में, आप कुछ भी कर रहे हैं. You'll have to take to the digital world. If I can really think about and pinpoint, financial literacy is yet another one that our high schoolers, middle schoolers, and graduates need to know. When they deep dive into technology, they don't know how to budget their product. They don't know after sales. They don't know the market value. They don't know what is going to be the ROI. So I work in a school and I deal with all high school students, more of 11th and 12th. And I always tell them, when you invest in a degree, when you go to a college, that's an investment. It's not an expenditure. It's not an expense you're incurring. It's an investment. When you go to a college, understand what your ROI is going to be, the return on your investment. You cannot invest lakhs and lakhs in a degree that is not going to get you a job without a master's level. At the same time, you might just invest the least, but it could be a degree that will get you a job immediately after the degree. Well, there is no guarantee of anything today, but then still, yes, financial literacy is one thing that I would definitely want to pinpoint. In fact, yet another one that comes to my mind is adaptability and flexibility. Our, I mean, no offense to the next generation, you guys are beautiful, but we don't want to adapt. We are going on a track, we're going on that track, and that's about it. The moment the track deviates, we refuse to budge. We stand still, we freeze, we don't know what to do. And that is what they have to learn. They have to adapt to situations because it's a very volatile world. कल क्या होने वाला है किसी को नहीं idea. Again, COVID happened. So now a lot of things have moved online. आपको घर में बैठ के काम करना पड़ेगा. You cannot stick to this stereotypical thing. I work only in my office. I have to work beyond office hours sometimes. I will have to multitask. I will have to venture into things that I have never learned before. So, yes, adaptability and flexibility is something I would want this generation to think about. These are things that will go a long, long way. Absolutely. If I can add more, do I have the time to add more? I can go on this. You have to stop
Definitely,
me,
ma'am.
lovely.
Definitely. Ma'am, even we would really love to hear you because that's our honor.
So I think yet another thing that this next generation in the next 10, 20 years, the industry is going to look forward to is emotional stability. Gen Z is known to leave jobs at the click of a second. And that doesn't work. Sometimes you have to just sit down, take in whatever is coming your way, not react, learn to respond. Emotional stability, empathy, emotional intelligence, these are not just words, these are not just fancy words. Companies are really looking for these kind of people because they want to have stability in their organization. That is one thing people are looking forward to. And stability comes when there's stability in character. If there's no stability in character, stability, you cannot have stability in your job. So this is something that has to come to this generation. Next 10, 20 years. In fact, there was a statistics that talked about 76% of companies are looking for high EQ people rather than high IQ. In fact, we don't even talk about IQ anymore because we talk about multiple intelligence. We don't even talk about IQ anymore. So now the entire focus has shifted to empathy, EQ, stability, adaptability. Can you adjust with the entire group? Because there's multiculturalism. कोई साउथ से है, कोई ईस्ट से है, कोई कहीं से है, and everybody is together in that particular organization. You've got to respect the other person's simple things like maybe the other person's articulation, pronunciation, language, mannerism, the culture. uh, then it could be something very, something offensive being said in a group. You have to calm down, respond at a later time. So a lot of things, aggression has to be controlled. So a lot of things are built in only with, are all connected with your EQ. So this is where our children need to be groomed for it. We cannot expect them to learn this at the age of 17 to 21 while they're doing a graduation. No, this cannot happen. It cannot be taught. 2 दिन की वर्कशॉप में एम्पैथी नहीं सिखा सकते. उस 2 दिन की वर्कशॉप में सर्टिफिकेट मिलता है सिर्फ. 2 दिन की वर्कशॉप में एम्पैथी नहीं आती. This has to be built in from very young years. I think our generation as parents have to learn to teach them these things and show them as role models somewhere. It has to be a part of the education system, leaving aside certain core subjects or maybe too much of content that we are trying to teach and build on character. I think I've listed quite a few.
It was really a very marvelous answer, ma'am. Very interesting. So the idea is no matter in what field you are in, certain skills will always keep you future proof. That's definitely something to keep in mind for students and working professionals alike. So,
Yes.
ma'am, now moving on to another question. With AI and automation changing the workforce, which human centric skills do you think will remain irreplaceable?
I think what I've listed right now, these are all human centric skills. AI cannot build in empathy anywhere. Even these mental health apps that are going around places right now, they are supposedly winning hearts right now that, okay, I don't have to speak to a psychologist. I can just go on a mental health app and get my answers. Some or the other time they come and rotate and come give you the same answer that they've been giving to everybody, because at the end of the day, it's an algorithm working. So anything that will need empathy, anything that will need to understand the other person's feelings and communicate and express in a certain desired manner will not be taken up by AI. So all these jobs which are very human centered. So maybe education industry. Yes, we are talking about AI taking over as tutors, but then they can only teach you in a certain way. Or even if, at some point of time, yes, AI will learn multiple intelligence and AI will learn learning styles and everything. At the end of the day, sometimes the child says, no, ma'am, I don't understand it yet. And there you have to get to the root cause. Maybe it is not the understanding. Maybe it is just that the child is not in a mood right now. He has some backlog in his head. So whatever requires human-centered feelings, be it empathy, like I just said, be it EQ, be it understanding the other person's feelings, these will definitely never be taken away by AI, and they will always, always be required. They are talking about HR being replaced by AI. I really want to understand that if the employees are being hired and fired, where will AI settle them down? That's where we, face a lot of burnouts, and we face a lot of self-harm and suicides. So I don't think HR, maybe the workload will be easy, but then these are fields where human intervention will always be required, and AI will never be able to take it over. And I'm always crossing my fingers AI doesn't take it over. Yes.
Very true, ma'am. Machines can process data, but they can't replace empathy, creativity, and leadership because these are the real human superpowers we should nurture. So, ma'am,
Absolutely.
before proceeding further with the next question, here I would really like to welcome Dr. Krishna Chandra Chaudhary, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good
Really
evening,
would
sir.
like to welcome you in this
Good
beautiful
evening.
evening of our podcast session.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome, sir.
Good evening, sir.
So, ma'am, now my next question to you is related to young graduates. So, like, how can young graduates or early professionals identify the right skill set to invest in for their career growth?
Okay. Um, Young graduates, early professionals, or even earlier than that, we all need to have a SWOT analysis. We all need to understand what we are great at, what is our strength, what is our weakness, where do we have to work, where can we see an opportunity lying for us and waiting for us to cash on, and what we see as a huge threat to us. Once we've all done our SWOT analysis, and it's a very easy thing for all of us to do, and people who would be watching this webinar should know that there are a whole lot of sheets available on Google and worksheets available on Google. You don't need anybody's help to go ahead and find out your strengths and weaknesses and your opportunities and threats. Forget the opportunities and threats, also just work on your strengths and weaknesses. It's something that we do with very young children. It works with high schoolers. It is important to young graduates and early people early in their professional life. Once you understand your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, start looking for mentorship. More often than not, we kind of hesitate to ask for help. There's a huge, big, inflated ego, and we stay in a bubble all the time that, yeah, we are good. Yes, we are good. We can be better. That is what I would want to say to people. So try and figure out what your strengths are. Try and figure out what your weaknesses are. Look for mentorship. Look for guidance. Trust me, I've reached a point in my career after changing different careers and after coming to counseling much later in my life. I've had mentors really looking up to me and telling me, yes, this could be the next step. This could be the next step. A very short call with a mentor for just 5, 7 minutes, maybe once in 3 months, 6 months, can make all the difference to you. Mentorship is literally like somebody can hold your hand and make you walk through a very difficult path. That is what mentorship does. The other thing that I would want these people to do is, these youngsters to do, is network. Like I just said a few questions back when you asked me, networking, the college is all about networking. Networking happens to be the most important thing when you get to college. In fact, now students have started doing it in high school time. I have students who have a network on LinkedIn and they are connected with like-minded, not just students, graduates, older people, a lot of people. And they just start learning because with the posts that are put on LinkedIn through their network, they start learning and they start aspiring to be like them. They start understanding what's happening in the world. So networking is that tool that can actually get you from a point 5 level to maybe another 10 steps, another 20 steps, anytime, anywhere. So networking is super, super, super important. And it's not about, just socializing, going to parties or anything. Networking with the right kind of people, with like-minded people, people you can look up to, people you can really think like them, and you can relate to. You could have work, you could not have work, you could have the same skill set, you could just learn from them. That is what is very important. So my advice or my suggestion to these youngsters is, make sure you have mentorship, make sure you have networks. These two things are super important for you to understand your strengths and weaknesses and learn and move forward. Yeah.
So that's really practical tip. Instead of blindly picking skills, reflecting on one's interest and industry needs makes the journey more meaningful. So
Absolutely. A lot of students would do that. Okay, if I have to learn, I have to build my profile, let me just pick up certifications from anywhere and everywhere. Now, what they're doing is they're collecting a whole lot of certificates which don't matter, which have not really taught them anything. Instead of that, if they pick up one internship, one project work, which teaches them 10 different, 20 different kind of things, that will make so much of a difference in their life and in their professional career, that it would be more valuable than any other certifications that they've done random without getting connected to their workforce. So, yeah, lovely. Sir, I think Lovely has a
yes,
connection issue.
ma'am. No,
Are you
ma'am.
there?
Connection. Ma'am, no
Okay,
connection.
okay, all
No,
right.
no, no, ma'am. Ma'am, so yeah, we definitely, ma'am, definitely really very appreciative answer. And we would we would start this podcast session just after 2 minutes, a very short quick Kit Kat break, people. So we will be
Sure,
continuing after 2 to 3 minutes. Till then, please don't leave. Just have a short break, a chai wala break, chai, or you could have even your favorite refreshment or drink,
sure.
whatever you want to have. So we will be right back just after 2 to 3 minutes. So thank you so
Certainly.
much. Please stay tuned. Please don't leave because this is something which is relatable to your life only. ये नॉलेज कहीं
Right.
और नहीं मिलेगी तो प्लीज स्टे ट्यून्ड विद अस ओनली तो प्लीज आप लीव मत करना प्लीज just after 2 to 3 minutes. Just coming right back after 2 to 3 minutes. Please stay tuned with us.